Hey, so we've been talking about the balance sheet. I've done a couple of videos in the past couple of weeks about balance sheet, and basically that's just to give you some terminology understanding when it comes to balance sheet basics, accounting, and accounting being the language of business regardless, right? Where there's an accounting equation. So when you hear these terminologies, my purpose is to help you be familiar with that, have informed conversations with an accountant, a bookkeeper, or anybody, even the bank or wherever you need to discuss financial matters. Then you can say, oh yeah, the balance sheet makes sense. Jessica told us about that, right? As far as assets equal liabilities plus owner's equity. But yeah, it's all about counting your own bag, understanding that it's nothing, it's just accounting, right? But from the financial literacy standpoint, bringing these terminologies, these examples, just like I said, to get you familiar with what your business should look like as well, right? When it comes to financial statements. So with that being said, I have a quick example. I'm gonna wrap up balance sheet basics. I'll probably come back to it a different time, but for now, I'm definitely gonna wrap it up and move on to something else in terms of terminology and helping you understand accounting from the language of business standpoint. So I'm going to share my screen. See if this is going to do it. Boom. And then here. That's not what I want to share, of course. How about that? Accounting, the language of business. Rambus Consulting, count your own bag, YouTube handle. And I always say have knowledge and you're going to have some money, right? So here's the example. Balance sheet basics. Assets equal liabilities plus owner equity. And so that is when they say the accounting equation, that's what they're talking about. There are two entries, which is called double entry accounting. That's all it is. It's nothing. And so from a financial statement standpoint, we're talking about assets up at the top, and then those assets, that group of assets, will total your liabilities plus your owner's equity. So the last example I'm going to give right here is in the case of buying a property or having some property or a building or even a fleet of cars, then those are your assets, right? They're going to show up on the assets section of the balance sheet. And then you're going to have the other side of that, which is going to be the liability for the purchase of those assets, right? And for the most part, when people buy buildings and things, then there's a mortgage or there's a loan of some sort for a fleet of cars or whatever it may be, a loan, right? So I put principal and interest. And I think, should principal be PAL? Principal. I think that one's right, actually. Principal and interest. So so that's the other side, right? Assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. Owner's equity is not the entry at this point. So the other thing I want to show is this balance sheet that I got from Amazon. It's their 10K for December 31st, 2023. And I just want to show the sections of their balance sheet, right? Where, like I said, you have a horizontal depiction of the accounting equation, which nobody's scared about that anymore because we know what it is. Assets equal liabilities plus owner's equity. But then the vertical, this is what the financial statement looks like. This financial statement essentially is the depiction of the accounting equations. Don't let accounting equation mess you up in any way, form, or fashion in the future. You know what it is. We all know about assets, cash, inventories, accounts receivables. All of these things are easily converted into cash. Or they are cash, right? That's why they're called current assets. And then your total assets are going to be your property and equipment, things that might not convert to cash. That's you're holding on your balance sheet, like an investment property or something like that. You're just holding it on your balance sheet as an asset because it can be converted to cash, but it's a long-term assets. Then when we talk about the other side, which is liabilities and stockholders' equity, this is for Amazon. So they have stockholders instead of us, or even myself being an owner equity, right? It would be owner's equity if this was my balance sheet. But anyway, we have current liabilities, accounts payable, unearned in revenue, and I'm not going to go deep in all of this stuff. Then we have long-term debt. So that's where in the case of the example that I showed, the liability of the mortgage would be, or the loan would be here for the house, property, investment property, whatever it may be, or a fleet of cars. Then, like I said, the stockholders' equity in this case, and the example is not impacted, but this would be owner's equity in the case of a small business. So that is my example. Asset, building, property, fleet of cars. Liability is going to be the loan for those building, property, or fleets of cars. And then with that, I will stop sharing my screen and talk about going to Count Your Own Bag on my YouTube channel. That is my handle. I changed it. It was Jessicka Rambus. Who cares? Nobody cares. So Count Your Own Bag, and then also jrambus.com to schedule a advising session with me. And I will see you on the other side.